Hello, hello, gorgeous people. Hopefully you can hear me now. I will just give it a moment for other people to hop on. As you hop on, say hello, tell me how you are. Either pop it in the comments or feel free to come on screen. I am super excited. I have got so much to share with you. I know these things are really going to help you move your business forward. Like Amara is having some issues connecting. Hopefully you can get that sorted, lovely. Okay. So just to say, I am recording this. So those that couldn't make it live can actually watch it on replay, just so you're aware. And yeah, I can see some of you are having problems with audio. There we go. So welcome, lovelies. I hope you are having a gorgeous day. So yeah, in the chat, I would love to know, where are you joining me from? And what made you want to sign up to this? What was your, what pulled you in? What is it about visibility that you're struggling with at the moment? So as you pop that in the chat, I will make sure that I cover that as part of today's session, to make sure you get everything you need out of this time together. But first and foremost, for those of you, if you don't know me or you're watching on replay and don't know me, I'm Holly. I am so many things. I started off in my business as a Reiki practitioner. That was my background initially. And I love Reiki. I love meditation. I love spiritual practice. I love any of the healing modalities. I'm a bit of a, I've always been drawn to the healing modalities. Even as like a young child, I remember like playing with herbs with my grandma in the kitchen. And, you know, over the years, although initially I didn't go into like the healing arts until much later on when I myself got sick, it's always kind of been there, something that I'd read about, something I was always interested in my spare time. And then my story is I became really unwell. I developed rheumatoid arthritis after having my third child. So I was about 30 at the time. And so I went on this big journey of healing and discovered many beautiful practices, and then felt this fire in my belly to kind of get out there and share this with the world and see if I can help other people that were in the same position that I was in, to move forward with their health. But the truth is, when I went into this, I didn't have a clue about any of the business side. I was probably very naive around it all. And so my business marketing initially, or me being visible, was just posting like a few quotes, like, you know, Rumi quotes or Louise Hay quotes, and then every now and then saying, you know, these are the prices of my services, book in for a session. And then I found quite quickly that that wasn't working. That wasn't doing anything. I wasn't bringing people into my world. And I realized I didn't know what I was doing. So at that point, I went out and got a coach. I got a business mentor. I went through lots of training around online business, and in-person business it covered as well. But my main focus has been the online side of things. And so there's been a lot that I've picked up on my journey, things that work, things that don't work, mistakes that I've made. Even when I was doing the work, showing up, being visible, all of it is a journey, right? And so even the times that we make mistakes around whatever it is in our business, it's all part of our learning process. And I'm so, so grateful for all of those mistakes I've made, because it's allowed me to hone my messaging and my marketing and allow me to understand who it is that I love to work with, and not just trying to be all things to all people. So I hope from today you will gain some insights into how that applies to you and your business, and come away with some real tangible things that you can go and start doing now, so that you can start being more visible, feeling brave enough to be visible. That was a real block on my journey. Was initially I had this really loud voice inside of me, which was like that voice of, who the hell do you think you are? Going out and like, I almost felt like this imposter syndrome coming up. So that was something I really had to work through. So why is visibility so important? So, listening to my story, it was everything, right? I wasn't getting the sales in my business because no one knew I existed. And the times they did see my posts on like social media, on Facebook or in Facebook groups, it wasn't me. It didn't tell anyone anything about me. It didn't tell anyone anything about my values, what I stand for, what I believe in, how I can help them, the real power behind the services that I provide. It was all very keeping me separate. At that point, even my business had a separate name, which I consciously chose to remove last year, because I realized that actually I wanted people love to work with me. It wasn't about this separate entity of a business. It was about my gifts as a coach. And, I'm terrible at many things, but one of the things I'm really, really good at is coaching and healing and supporting people to move their life forward to where they want to be. So when we're thinking about visibility, this is everything. You don't have a business without being visible. And we know this, right? Call it marketing, call it messaging. If we're not being visible, people won't know we exist. And if they don't know we exist, then they're not going to buy from us. And ultimately, if people aren't buying, we don't have a business. And it's not sustainable. We need it to be financially sustainable, right? So hopefully you are on board with why visibility is so important. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So let's start breaking it down and looking at the different things we need to think about when it comes to being visible online or being visible out in the wide world. So whether that's through other forms of marketing. So number one, the first thing you really need to think about is, who are you talking to? This is called lots of different things. So your ideal client, or, in a very old-fashioned marketing way, this was broken down into like a sector. So we would say things like, women aged between 35 and 55 who are in this kind of earning bracket. What we know now is that model doesn't exist, or that model doesn't work, is what I should say. So the reason it doesn't work is because it's based on presumptions about certain people. And the truth is, we're all very different, right? So when it's about who do you want to work with, that's the question you should be asking. Who is it that you really love to work with? So for example, for me, just to help you like have an example for this, The people I love to work with are the people that are willing to commit to the work, that are willing to do the work, that have got radical self-responsibility, that aren't going to let their fears or their emotions stand in the way of them achieving their goals. Those are the people I absolutely love to work with. The people I struggle to work with, when I say struggle, I just don't enjoy working with, are the people that tend to go into that victim mentality, that try and, as a coach, it's never our job to fix someone, right? So if people are coming into that relationship with this expectation that it's your job to fix me, so whether it's as a coach or as a healer, we can't do all the work, right? So I don't enjoy working with people that come in with that expectation. I don't enjoy working with people that will second guess themselves. So what I mean by this is people that will say they're going to commit to something and then go back on it. So I'm really clear in my mind, who is this ideal client? Who is the people I love to work with? Because what I know is when I'm working with the people I love to work with, I show up as my best. I enjoy my work far more. And my clients see more results because they are getting the best of me. So this is so important to really figure out, who is it you're talking to? Who are those people? And the thing is, I would say, don't make presumptions around who those people are. So, for example, especially around things like earning capacity, because I know that when I spent my first £15,000 on a coach, I didn't have the money. I was the sort of person that, you need to be in business, right? I was resourceful. I'd find a way. I would, in that circumstance, I looked at how I could make some extra money online. I already had a corporate job, so I looked at getting a promotion through them, talked about getting a pay rise through them, relied on credit cards a little bit, all of those things. But I was resourceful to actually generate that money. So don't presume that the people, if you're selling high ticket offers, for example, if you're selling a £15,000 coaching package, don't presume those people have £15,000 sat in their bank account. Because the truth is, I didn't. I had very, very little. But I knew at that point that my business was important. I knew that this was something I really wanted to do with my life. I also knew that I really deep down wanted to create generational wealth for my family. I wanted to give my kids opportunities that I couldn't give them at that time. I wanted to know that I could pay for their university fees and put deposits down on their houses, so they weren't having to struggle and strive like I had to in my journey. And I knew I wasn't going to get there by just investing in the coach down the road. I tried that didn't work. I needed someone that was several steps ahead of me, had a 7-figure business, had been through the trenches. And so that's what I went with. But on paper, I would have not fitted into the demographic of someone that would buy a £15,000 coaching package. I hope that is making sense. So don't alienate parts of your audience on the presumption that you don't think they can afford to work with you, or they'll want to work with you, or they can generate the funds to work with you. We're talking about really resourceful, intelligent people, right? So if we want to do something, we find a way. So that's number one. Start thinking about, who is this person you really love to work with? These people that bring out the best in you. These people that actually make your days feel easeful and joyful, and you get to show up and really hone your craft through them because they are so aligned to how you love to work. So that's number one. Was there anything else I wanted to say on that? No, I think that's it. Number 2, do not be a clone. This is such an important point. I think when we go into this online world, we can think we need to look like X, or we need to show up like them, or we need to do what that person's doing, or, put all of that presumption or all of that expectation on ourselves to be something else. The truth is, you're never going to be Louise Hay. You're never going to be Oprah Winfrey. You're never going to be Deepak. The reason being, you are 100% you. And that is what people are going to love, is when you show up as your fullest version of you, when you really figure out what it is that you love and what makes you tick, and the things that inspire you, and show up from that place. So this goes with everything you do in your business. So be mindful of this as you're showing up to be visible, around trying not to be someone else, trying to be fully you. And this can be sneaky, right? We can have a lot of mental blocks around this, or thought patterns around this, where we can feel like we need to hop onto trends. So let's think about some of the trends that have been going on. So if we look at business last year, one of the main trends was things like TikTok and Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels. And for me, there was nothing more off-putting than watching a coach awkwardly do this whole kind of like TikTok dance when you could see it was so out of alignment with who they were. It was just painful, right? And I would love to know if that resonates with you. Don't get me wrong, there was some people that it was clearly exactly what they should be doing. It was just so aligned to who they were. But the thing is, your audience will pick up on your energy. So you have to feel completely aligned to whatever it is and how you're showing up, so that actually they feel aligned to work with you. No one's going to want to work with an awkward coach or an awkward healer. You want to be coached or healed by someone who is demonstrating the level of self-acceptance and self-worth and self-belief that they themselves want to feel. And you're not going to do that by trying to be a clone of someone else. So this is really about, figuring out, what is it that makes you you? What is it that makes you different to the person down the road? And yeah, we're all one. Of course, we're all one. But we also have these separate identities, right? These separate beings that make us wholly unique. And that may be in relation to the things you're passionate about. It may be in relation to the things that really pee you off. And, you may want to talk into that. It may be about the things that you truly value in life and the things that you think are important. It may be things in society that you feel like we're really screwing up on. And God knows there's enough of that. But also, what is it about your unique skills, the way you are, the way you think, the way you feel, the things that you do with your time and the life that you live, that makes you different to other people? And what you will find is that when you show up as this fullest version of you, you will become a magnet to people that either want to feel the things that you're feeling or show up in the way that you're showing up, or they'll just gravitate naturally towards you because you're speaking their language. You are making sense to them because that's similar to how their mind works, or the things that they want to experience, or the way they want to feel. So it's so important that we go into this being, our fullest expression of ourselves. And what I found that to be is an ever evolving entity, right? We're not just this one static thing, it's this ever evolving entity. So I'll share with you this over the past few months, one of the things that I've been thinking about is, a big part of who I am is I have a really kind of artist soul. I love art. I love creativity. As a kid, I would write poetry. Um, I've got this kind of heart of an artist, and so I'm bringing more and more of that into the way I'm showing up online. I'm allowing myself to spend time and create images as that artist part of me. I'm allowing myself to be even more expressive in the way that I'm posting online about my deepest thoughts and deepest desires. I'm allowing that part of me to really emerge. Don't get me wrong, there's so many other parts of me that I also try and bring forward or allow to come forward. But the main thing is not to get into that comparisonitis or that want to be a clone of someone else. And we know this, right? But it is so easy to get sucked into this. So easy to lose that authenticity of who we are by following some kind of trend or feeling like we should be more like them or less like this, and try and cut bits off ourselves because we don't feel like it fits into this beautiful box of what we think we should be like. This is about being all of you. That's what audiences love, is when you show up as the most beautiful version of you in its fullest intensity. That's an interesting choice of words, but yeah, potentially. So that was number 2. Do not be a clone, please. Number 3, what is your message? Now, I know when I was starting out, and many of my clients talk to me about this too, it's this feeling of, what do I even talk about? I mean, what should I even say? And there's many ways we can approach this, especially in the beginning when it feels like we haven't even found our voice yet. What you will also find is your message and your voice actually develops the more and more and more you show up. Because you hone it. It's like a craft, right? The more that you do it, the more that you can realize, oh, that worked, that didn't work. I liked that, didn't like that. That bit sounded right, that bit didn't. If that's the way you operate. And the reason I say if that's the way you operate, like I say, I've got the soul of an artist. So for me, it's always about coming back to that voice within, listening intently, feeling into that soul aligned. What is it I need to express to the world today? And I do that as part of like my morning practice. So I will often make notes after my morning practice around what is the real message that's coming through for me today that I feel like I need to share with the world. Now, for you, that may really resonate. That may be, you may think, oh my God, yeah, I want to work like that. That feels really good to me. For others, that may feel like too intangible. That may feel too in flow, too in the feminine. If you operate mainly from like masculine, the kind of structure and the do, then you may want to be more, you may want to plan more around this. And, there's a couple of things we need to think about here. One, if you're first starting out, if you're just getting visible online, if you are, bear with me while I let someone else in. If you are just starting out, if you are just getting visible online, then what I would say is that, hey, lovely. So if you're just starting out, if you're just getting visible, then I would say write down on a piece of paper everything that you could possibly talk about that you would be inspired to talk about. So I did this. It was like right at the beginning of my journey, I did what one of my coaches termed a content tree. So I drew a tree, and off every branch, I wrote down all of the things I could talk about that would help people, that would inspire people, that would lift people, that would allow them to, no problem, Beverly, that would allow them to see, one, the value I could give, two, like show the world that I was the expert around these things, which can feel a little bit uncomfortable, right? But it also gave me the security of knowing those things were there. Now, in all honesty, I probably looked at that tree like twice because I tend to be, like, say, more of that kind of creative type where I just need to feel inspired about what it is I want to talk about that day. But this is for you to play with. Like I say, you will find that as you go through this journey, your message becomes clearer and clearer and louder, and you feel more in touch with it and more able to express that to the world in a way that's going to really inspire and lift people, right? And this is why we're doing what we're doing, right? To kind of be that light in what can feel a very dark sea on social media sometimes. At least we get to be the light. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you might want to do a post that's really triggering, because as coaches, we're also there to help people see their shadows and where they're self-sabotaging, right? And that doesn't always come from a place of love and light. Sometimes we've got to make people feel a little bit uncomfortable so that they can see their own shadows. I don't know about you, but the best coaches I've worked with have been the ones that have called me out on my own BS. They have told me that's an excuse, Holly, and have said, you're avoiding doing the work and you are making excuses not to do the work. Those are the coaches that I love to work with, because I have seen the most results. And this is why I think it was one of my gorgeous clients, Louise, was saying, we did an interview. I was interviewing her a few months back, and she said she loved the fact that I was loving and compassionate, but willing to kick her ass when she needed it. And, that's what we need to be, right? As healers, as coaches, as we need to help people see those areas that perhaps they're holding themselves back from. So number 3 is really about giving yourself that time to get clear on your message. And when I say the time, this isn't just time sat there with your journal. This is time posting on social media, going live on social media, doing the things, podcasts or Pinterest or whatever platform you're choosing to be visible on. But over time, that message will hone and develop. And, we can talk a lot more about, strategy behind messaging and, thinking about aligning it to products and all of those things that we do need to think about when we're on that journey of actually wanting to sell things that are perhaps more high ticket. But we're not going to have a lot of time to dive into that today. So initially, this is really about how can you position yourself as the expert and show that the value you have to give to the world, but from a place that feels really aligned, not marketing, not salesy, but from a place that feels like a soul message. So have some fun playing with that. Number 4. Oh, this is an interesting one. And you know how I said I might be here to trigger you. This might be all of those ones. So are you role modeling what you expect to see from your clients? This is an interesting one, right? Because if to be fair, there's been times when I've been great at this. There's been times when I haven't been so good. And what I mean by that is what I will often see. Sorry, bear with me while I just sort something out. There we go. What I will often see is coaches that are, asking people to invest with them, and maybe asking people to invest with them with large sums of money, yet they are not themselves investing in themselves. And I don't know about the rest of you, but for me, there's a real lack of integrity there. There's a misalignment with how the hell can we ask other people to do what we're not willing to do ourselves? So I know that every time I put my prices up in my business, I put my investments up. And for me, that's really important for my integrity. It's really important not only for the growth of my business, the more money you spend, generally, the better, the more experienced coach you're going to have. So, like I say, when I invested £15,000 in a 3-month coaching package, that felt, and then when I put my prices up in my business, that felt fine, because I knew that I was willing to do what I was asking of my community, of my clients. And again, that didn't mean I had that money readily available. I found the money, right? I was resourceful. I pulled on different ways that I could gain that money through, taking on more clients, putting in more hours in my business. I did all of the things I needed to generate that money, or to at least generate that deposit, knowing that I could then work on generating the rest of the money. So it's not just around your investments, but generally, are you being the role model for your clients? What people want from a coach or a healer or a spiritual teacher is someone that's just a few steps ahead of them. They don't need someone that's the other end of the spectrum, because it'd be really difficult to relate to that person. So when I was first starting out, I wasn't investing in the coaches I'm investing in now. I wasn't going to go to, my coach at the moment, she's a multi-millionaire in the online world, but I wouldn't have gone to her right at the beginning, because I was so far away from where she is. So initially I went for the coach that was able to teach me how to reach 6 figures in my business from a place of alignment, from a place of integrity, from a place of authenticity, and not feeling like I was following some sleazy marketing strategy or sleazy sales strategy, which just would feel really uncomfortable to me. And I've completely lost the point that I was going to say around that. But coming back to the main point around, are you role modeling this? So are you investing in yourself? Are you practicing what you preach? Are you operating in alignment with what you're asking your clients to do? And if not, we're dealing with intelligent people, right? They will pick up on that dissonance. They will pick up on that out of alignment. And that doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. No one is, right? We're human. We screw up. We make mistakes. Sometimes, I know, even as a Reiki master, sometimes my Reiki practice goes out the window for a week. And then I go, oh, wow, I've lost sight of that. I need to bring it back. And that's okay. And then I can talk into that space, right, in my messaging, and tell people what that feels like, and the fact that I understand it, and this is how I do it. So a point to consider: how in alignment are you with what you're asking your clients to do, or your potential clients to do? And how are you communicating that in your messaging? So, I did a post yesterday where I've been mapping out what I want 2023 to look like. And, I knew that actually, to get to those goals, it meant that I needed a driver that was going to help me do it. And one of my biggest drivers is fear. I used to have a really unhealthy relationship with fear, where I used to push it away and I hated it and it felt too uncomfortable and I didn't like it, and I wanted to feel safe. Life isn't safe, right? We live in the most, we weren't born to feel safe all the time. So over my journey, my relationship with fear has completely changed. And what I realized quite early on was if I was going to make this business work, I had to get comfortable with fear. And so I started this journey of fear becoming my best friend. And actually now I find that if I don't have that fear there, it's not the same for me. It doesn't feel good. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to bring into 2023, I thought, you know what, I need more fear here. I need more, something that's going to stretch me. I need to be further in that, out of my comfort zone. I need to be pulled. And so I made some big investments in myself, in my business, that I know are going to propel me into 2023. And so I posted about that, not because I wanted to brag about the fact I'm spending thousands of pounds on a coach, but because I want people to know I practice what I preach. I wouldn't ask of my clients anything that I'm not willing to do myself. I operate from integrity. And I know that's important to me, and I know that's important to my clients. So use those experiences as things you can build into your messaging to actually show that you're practicing what you preach. So that was what was that? Number 4. Was that number 4 or was that number 5? I've lost track. Do we need numbers? Numbers are overrated, right? Okay, number 6. Find your channel. And what I mean by this isn't the channel that's most popular. This isn't about, TikTok's doing really well at the moment. Let's all hop on TikTok. It's about what is the channel that aligns to you, and also what is most likely to align to your soul clients. And don't get me wrong, different channels will have different advantages and disadvantages. Because I'll be honest, I've got a real love-hate relationship with Facebook. Facebook personally is not my favorite platform. I feel like it can be a very negative platform. I feel like it can, there's a lot of rubbish on Facebook, if I'm perfectly honest. So when it comes to me personally, I tend not to use Facebook that much. However, a big value of mine, and one of the things I love in my business, is my ability to build connection with people and help people and support people. And on Facebook, you've got the ability to create communities and groups. So although it's not my favorite platform, that is a big part of who I am, is community, connection, building those relationships with people. And I would find that more difficult on Instagram, although I use Instagram, just not to the same degree. When we are first starting out, we can have this tendency to feel like we've got to be on every single platform going. I've got to be on YouTube, I've got to be on Instagram, I've got to have a podcast, I've got to have Facebook. Park that. Choose one, develop it really well, get your messaging really on point, get that confidence up. And then when you feel like you're really clear, you're getting the results, you're converting people into clients, then spread your wings into the other platforms. Otherwise, you are just creating more work for yourself. There's no point scaling your business before you've perfected this piece. And, if you want to perfect this piece, then you need to be thinking about all of these things. You need to be thinking about strategy behind it. But we're not going to have too much time to go into that today. So have a think about, what is it you want from a platform? What is important to you in your business? So like I say, for me, community was a big thing for me. At the moment, I'm also spending more time on Instagram. And the main reason being, like I mentioned earlier, I realized I wanted to bring more of my artistic side into my business. And I love the visual part of Instagram. Instagram tends to be the platform that I spend personal time on most. other than actually, no, podcasts are my platform. I'm constantly listening to podcasts, but after that would be Instagram on a personal level. If I'm following my coaches and things, it's generally on Instagram. Although many of them have a Facebook group. So, there's that alignment there. So have a think about that. What is it that you want from that platform? How can that support your business? And then choose that one platform and really dominate it. And number 7 of all of this is you have to remember not to take any of it personally. You will have posts that no one will like. You will have lives that people don't show up for. You will have products that completely bomb. None of this is anything to do with you. You have to remember that. This is about honing this craft. This is a craft in itself. Building an online business is a craft. There is so many different pieces to it, and it develops over time. So instead of taking those things personally, what we want to do is go, right, okay, why did that not work? What didn't work about that? What could I have done differently? And this is the conversations I have with my coaches. So it might be things around, I did a launch and this bit went really well. I didn't like this bit. I found I had this issue here. All of these different things, I break it all down and figure out what works, what doesn't, what do I like, what I don't like. If I've done an intake into a program and I'm like I say, when I was talking about my ideal client, it took for me to do several intakes into big programs for me to figure out who was my ideal client, who did I love to work with, and who didn't I. And initially I was kind of talking to everyone and it was all a bit messy. So it's through the action that we gain clarity, that our business progresses, that we actually have that information we can use the next time round. So as things don't work, we don't take it personally. It's like, what's the lesson from that, and move on? What's the lesson from that, and move on? The good, the bad, the ugly. We take it all, right? Because all of it is there to serve you. All of it is there to teach you something. And the final thing to kind of leave you on in respect to that is enjoy the process. This is an extension of you. This is an extension of your calling, of your dharma, of the reason you're here in the world. So make it fun, make it enjoyable. There's a reason I do so many launches and free events and things. I love it. I love meeting people, hearing from people, hearing what their struggles are, knowing I can help them. And also saying, oh, and I've got this beautiful thing over here that I know will also really serve you if you want to buy it and take it further. And if you don't, it doesn't matter, because I've blooming loved the process of getting to know you over the past week. So whatever it is for you, give yourself full permission to lean into that, to really run with that, to enjoy the process, to get creative, to allow your self-expression to come through. Because this is what people will love about you and from you, is when they can see you in your beautiful whole, not trying to be anything else, not trying to be someone else. Like I say, you're not here to be Oprah or Louise Hay, or you're here to be you. So I'm going to open it up for questions now. I would love to know what comes up for you as we talk this all through. Beverly, yes, you agree. Was that about the triggering? Lovely. Shadow work is so needed, but hard. But you need it. Yeah, I wouldn't be where I was unless I could look at every single bit of myself that and I'm going to choose my words carefully here. Often when I've looked at my shadows, it's not the shadow that is bad, it's my judgment of the thing. So I had this real block at one point in my business where I was expecting myself to think, act, behave in a certain way. So I was feeling like I wasn't professional enough. I wasn't doing it in the way that lots of other people were doing it. I probably need to hone that a bit more. That needs to look a bit more professional. All of these things was going on in my head. The truth is, my clients don't give a toss about my professionalism. The reason they love me is because I'm human and I screw up constantly and talk about it and tell them about it. And when I show up in the fullest expression of me, that's when people want to work with me. It's not when I'm trying to be some professional that I'm never going to be, let's be honest, peeps. So, talk to me. You're all very quiet, ladies. What is going on for you as we talk about visibility? What are the questions that come up for you when you think about putting this into action? Or what is the resistance that's coming up for you as you start to think about putting this into action? I'm going to have a sip of my tea. It's not tea, actually. I've been experimenting with cacao mochas, which are quite nice. Wow. No, we all good? Okay, lovelies. If you think about any questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out. What I will also be doing is sending you a copy of the recording to your inbox for those of you that have signed up. I've also got an extra special treat that will be in that email. You may have seen doors are open to the Intuitive Business Academy at the moment. So yeah, an extra special bonus for those of you that want to sign up will be in that email. If you've got any questions about that, reach out. If you haven't already and want to book in for a 15-minute business mentoring call, I'd officially closed the doors on that last week. However, for those of you here and those of you that are watching on replay, if you want to book in for your 15-minute call, message me before the end of the weekend and we will get that sorted. All right, and that's a free call, by the way. Okay, well, I will love you and leave you, wishing you the most gorgeous weekend. I hope to see some of you in the Intuitive Business Academy. Claire, I've just seen, oh, it said 11. How weird. Okay. Sorry about that, lovely. It must have been a tech thing going on. But yes, I will be sending out the replay. Where did I get to? I will love you and leave you. And I hope to see some of you in the Intuitive Business Academy and to support you to get your business to that next level, help you start thinking about, really expanding your dreams, reaching those 6 figures, creating generational wealth, as well as showing up for your Dharma and purpose in your fullest integrity and authenticity and shining your light into the world. All right, lovelies. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.